Hey Bucks, can I start, mate, by just asking how strange the past couple of days have been? Saw players get on a bus from a hotel this morning, dropped off at the club. Does it feel strange, given that it's like a genuine away game, but in your own backyard, so to speak?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's a little bit different from now on in. The only change for us is that we're flying tomorrow morning as opposed to this afternoon. Our training program has been unchanged. Our meeting pattern and schedule is unchanged. Some of the boys, probably half of the group, ended up staying at the hotel last night, and half were quarantined in their own homes. But yeah, we've come in this morning. This preparation at the club will be normal, and yeah, we jump in a bus and go and stay at the hotel here rather than going to a flight and staying at a hotel there. There's a little bit to do tomorrow morning with testing, but the boys are over that. We're ready for it, and looking forward to the challenge of tomorrow afternoon.
Bucks, what have you decided to do? Are you staying at the hotel with the guys as well?
No, last night I stayed at my place, and tonight we all go to the hotel. So it's a bit of a lock-in there, and as I said, not unlike what we would do if we were travelling as a group. You sort of get that last 24 to 36 hours in with the travel party, which includes a full squad of our players. We generally complete our meetings and then have a little bit of downtime before getting to work. So, we have travelled well as a team in the past, and we look forward to the challenge that this represents. Adelaide Oval with a full crowd is going to be a very different feeling to what last week was against Geelong. So in this environment, it's great to be able to play in front of a crowd, and for us to be able to do what we need to do to get that is, we've welcomed.
Would have you preferred to play the game in Sydney, Bucks, to take that home ground advantage away?
All the logistics or the options or the preferences are irrelevant now. We're looking forward to getting to Adelaide and playing that game.
Perhaps what have you told your players about all the board stuff, if any of them?
No, nothing, Rob.
In terms of how to deal with it, I suppose.
No, we haven't. It hasn't been a part of a discussion topic at our level.
A few changes this weekend, Nathan. Can you talk us through some of the changes? Max Lynch comes in and seems a bit of a cult figure at the club, and obviously Jamie Elliott is a pretty experienced player to come into the side.
Yeah, look, Jamie will really help us in front of the ball, and missing him for the last 10 weeks, and not having him in that mix has had an effect. There's no doubt. He's a dynamic player. He's helped us in centre bounce. In his time when he's up and about as well. So very happy to welcome him back into the side. He's done a power of work and he's ready to go. Yeah, Max Lynch played a game last year at the Gabba and has had a long stint on the list, but will get his opportunities in his primary role as a ruckman. So we feel that that's a great opportunity for him. He's been in pretty good form, but to be honest, he's next man up and gets the opportunity to come up against a really good ruckman in Riley O'Brien. So there's a few other changes that have been made, but in the end, we feel like we've got a really well balanced side to be able to take Adelaide on. Notwithstanding, Brodie's obviously been a mainstay for us and will miss, and Chris Mayne, who's been in really good form, who's unable to make the trip across.
Perhaps with Brodie out, a lot of teams seem to really sometimes sort of know, I guess, what he's doing with the ruck. Having someone new, will it be something that you think will give you maybe an advantage or maybe a different look, because teams seem so well prepared for him because he is so good?
Potentially. I suppose we can judge that in retrospect. my gut is that if you gave me a preference, I think we'd prefer to have Brodie. I mean, and I think everyone would see that would be more optimal. But we've always been a side that believes, or a team that believes that the next guy comes in, and our team structure has consolidated over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Where we're defending third best in the comp, so we've set up those systems which should allow us to be more attacking as the weeks progress over the next month or so, and Lynchy will be expected to come in and compete hard in clearance, compete hard in aerial, and then to provide his to provide energy to his teammates, which we know he'll bring in spades.
Bucks, you go, mate.
Sorry, Bucks, can you take us through the sort of the game, the defensive game plan? Is it you guys trying to think that that's your best way of winning, or is it sort of the start of a reset of the game plan and you're looking more medium and long term with it?
No, it's not a defensive game plan, Rob. That's not a label that I've given it. It's just the way we play. We definitely have been able to possess the ball more over the last 4 or 5 weeks compared to early in the season. We just we looked at attacking in a different way, and we weren't possessing the ball as often, weren't forcing the opposition to defend. We're actually criticised for going too straight, and we felt we were going too straight, too predictable to the opposition. So we're finding that balance offensively, and we're definitely forcing the opposition to defend more, especially in our back half. The piece that's been missing is that connection going forward. We're in terms of inside 50s, we're giving ourselves as much or more supply than our opposition in recent times, and they've been some pretty good opponents. It's the set final piece of being able to connect, and that's something we've worked on over the last couple of weeks whilst we've been reschooling our defence and re-establishing those strong elements of our game. And no, we don't intend to be dour, but at the moment that has been a step that we've gone through, and we just haven't been able to convert our opportunities, whether it be accuracy or that connection inside forward 50 to kick a score that that we believe we're capable of, and this week could be the week for that.
Bucks, even though you haven't spoken to the players about the board stuff, is it something you prefer not to be happening at the football club at the moment?
Nick, it's something that happens above my head, and obviously it's topical right here, right now with the advent of more conversations, I suppose, coming out in the open. But I believe that most of those people have Collingwood's best interests at heart. What I would say is that, and for what it's worth, I actually believe that there's been a whole heap of change at this football club over the last 3 or 4 years in particular. I think we're a much better organisation across those years, and I believe the people that are on the current board have had no small part in that progress. Yes, we're struggling at the moment on field, and our win-loss doesn't look great. And there have been some challenges of in terms of the salary cap, and obviously the Do Better report, which was really public. But there's been that much change that has taken place. I believe the people that are on the current board are the right people to take the club forward, and believe in time that will be vindicated.
So would further change, do you think, have a destabilising effect, folks?
That's up for the people that are in those discussions to work out. As I said, I believe that they all want the Collingwood Football Club to prosper, and everyone's hurting at the moment with the situation that we're in 2021. But the situation we're in is not fatal. It's a moment in time. There's a lot of things that are working for us, and will come through in coming years, no doubt. And the board's role is governance and making sure that the right processes are followed and the right people are put in place to make decisions. And there's been a fair bit of change in our football department. There's been change in our administration. There's definitely change in our environment and the way that we go about our business. And as I said, with the backdrop of 2 wins and 9 losses, it's very difficult to sell that or to see that. But I'm really sure that that'll come to fruition. It was really obvious 2 or 3 years ago, and it hasn't changed. We're still a good organisation in that sense.
Bucks, well, the young fella, Ash Johnson, you drafted a couple of days ago. How quickly could he play in the AFL team?
Well, I haven't seen him run around the training track yet. He'll come across early next week. He'll go through a process of review and screening from a further physical standpoint. Make sure you get him settled, living over here, and then he'll have a chance to run around with the boys sort of mid next week when he comes into our bubble. For in terms of this lockdown situation, and then we'll go from there. I think John Noble last year came across and played probably about a month after he didn't play the first VFL game. He had a little bit of groin soreness. We built him up and actually rested him when he first came to the football club. So both Ash and Aiden, when we get a look at how they're going, obviously Aiden with his shoulder injury won't be a short-term prospect, but we had some pretty good results from John, and he's played consistent football for us in the last 2 years since coming across in that mid-season draft. So we're not shy of pushing players up if they think they're going to help us in the short term and the long term.
Bucks, I'm just wondering whether you heard the comments that the South Australian health official made about not touching the ball this week that have gotten a bit of press in terms of people spectating at the match in Adelaide, whether you had any reaction to that.
Yeah, there's been a few memes about it, Laura. So I didn't miss that. I understand, the health ministers have got a job to do, and they're actually. We don't take it lightly, the fact that we are provided with the opportunity to come across and to play this game, and we take it very seriously. We're doing everything that the SA government is asking of us, and in terms of their protocols, to make sure that we adhere to their guidelines. I can understand how, I suppose, the risk of transmission is there, but we believe we're really safe. We were labelled dirty last year. I don't feel like we're that. Whereas our protocols are as stringent as any. We'll come across and play the game. I know there's possibly some hysteria that surrounds transmission through the ball, but every possible action has been taken place to prevent transmission. Otherwise, we wouldn't be coming.
Just a different take on leather poisoning.
Yes, Rob, that's a good one. You should run with that. Why didn't you tell me before that, mate? I would have used it. Okay, just text them through next time.
You mentioned before about the fact you're in a moment in time, and obviously you're building towards the future. You've had a bit of a chance to look at some of the club's younger players over the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks. How do you feel like they're progressing? How do you feel like your position's moving forward? Yeah, look, it's always a work in progress. I think we've found a couple of really good ones, and not all of them are in the team now. But we've, as we said right up front, we should really hasten slowly with young players that come into a program. Getting your foot in the door is one thing, and it doesn't matter whether you pick one or pick 100. You've still got the same opportunity in front of you once you land in an AFL environment, and it's our job to make the most of those opportunities of those individuals and their talents. But it's also the individual's responsibility to make their career their own, and some thrive on that, and some bounce along and take a little bit longer. I think we've done pretty well. We've got some that we've got most of our boys have really dug in and have tipped in and are looking to be their best. Not playing VFL the last couple of weeks has an impact, but yeah, we're pretty happy. I mean, to have debuted 7.
and to have got as many games into those players, whether it be availability because of injury to more experienced players or players that are more AFL ready, or whether they've just pushed their way up. I think that's been a really positive aspect of the first part of 2021, and it was something that we knew was a reality coming into this year, and we communicated that at the time.
Rusty, you go into tomorrow feeling like you can get the win. Does it feel like a 50-50 game? Do you feel like you're the underdog? How do you view the contest against Adelaide tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I'm not an odds man, but before the game last week, I did catch the screen and the big screen, and it had us at $4.20 to win the game of footy against, I think, $1.20 for Geelong to win. And I was really confident that we could go and win that game of football, and believe that there was a lot of elements we got right, despite the criticism and the critique that's come out of that game. I don't know what the odds are going into this week. I mean, Adelaide are playing some really good footy. Their energy's high. They love a high tempo game, so they're going to pose some real challenges to us. With the squad we've got, we've always believed that we can come across and win. We set our players up to win. All of our talking, all of our discussions and all of our focuses around our key areas against an opponent are about executing those, and with the intent of being able to find that reward for ourselves immediately. So whilst we are building for medium and long term, we go into every match wanting to win that match and wanting to display our best footy and build on our best football, and that's our endeavour this weekend and tomorrow.
Russ, you mentioned earlier that that connection going inside forward 50 sort of seems to be the last piece for you. How important is it with Elliott and Thomas coming back, the fact they've played a lot of football with this group? Is that part of the cohesion thing you're sort of talking about?
Yeah, there's been a lot of change, and you're sort of always looking for how much change is good and how much stability is good. I mean, you've got to get that balance right, and at different stages of a year, different stages of a group's development, you'll be looking for either more or less change. We've had more than we would have hoped for with Jamie out of there. I suppose we had Darcy come into that forward line for 3 or 4 weeks before going back again. We have had a fair few injuries, and fundamentally where your younger midfield types come into the game is through, or midfield forwards is actually through forward roles. Our midfield's been quite established. We've moved Scott out of there over the last sort of month, and trying to build a midfield without him, understanding that that's where we need to go going forward. So we've seen Tyler Brown, who's now has to have his shoulder done, Braden Sire last week, Josh Dacos really come through in those roles. And Trent Bianco got a little bit of time in there last week, but mostly those younger guys go into sort of high forward roles because that's the closest thing to their midfield and attacking capabilities. So that has an impact, but we believe that we're still looking for a settled front six that we believe can help get on the other side of the connection. If the supply's a little more consistent, then that'll help. But we've worked on that really hard over the last month, and we know that that'll pop at some point.